So I rented a Tesla once and I fell in love with the car. And I was convinced. I had conviction. And I said to myself, I have to have one of these cars. So I did what any rational person would do. And I went onto YouTube and I started watching every single car review video about a Tesla. And everyone said the same thing. Everyone was basically affirming my ideas, saying Teslas are great cars. They're good. They're reliable. There is no oil changes. It's just changing tires. The batteries are reliable. You're going to have a fun time. And they're so cool. Sentry mode. Oh my gosh, it's so fast, okay? You'll never have to worry about merging. I got the whole pitch, okay? And then I realized that what I was doing was basically confirmation bias. It's going on to YouTube, looking for information that confirms what I want to hear, and then basically saying, these people are smart because they get a lot of views and they must have money, so they must know what they're talking about. Now, luckily for me, I snapped out of it. And I said to myself, remember, Tommy, this is not an investment. The new car smell will wear off, and eventually the novelty of having an electric car will also go away. And guess what? Cars go down in value. I think people kind of forget that. People kind of think that whenever they buy a Tesla, they don't think they're buying a car for some reason. But you are buying a vehicle. And these vehicles are not investments. And I've been watching a lot of videos about people basically buying these cars and saying, I'm going to live in it. It's going to be a camper. But let's just go right into this video to just break down all the reasons why I want you guys to remember Tesla cars are not investments. They're not going to hold value. They're not going to make you any wealthier. And they're no more different than any other car, as far as, for example, being a vehicle. Now, the very first thing I want to tell you guys is this, okay? There is nothing more expensive on this planet than being impulsive, stupid, and ignorant. And guess what? I've been all three of those things at the exact same time. And every single time I've done that, it has cost me a lot of money. For some reason, people just think that whenever they're buying a Tesla, an electric car, they're just saying basically, this is a great investment. I'm saving the world. And they kind of just forget that this is a vehicle. It goes down in value. And if you pay too much for it, you're going to be in trouble. And the impulsive factor with Teslas is dramatic. It is like drastic. There is a vast community of idiots. And what they like to do is, if there's a new car, a Tesla's coming out, I'm willing to pay more money, put down a down payment, wait years to actually get it. And that's usually just called being impulsive. So I had to snap myself out of this just by reminding myself, Tommy, this is a normal car and this car will go down in value. So for example, okay, let's look at, for example, a 2020 Tesla Model 3. And not just any edition or trim level, but a long range all-wheel drive, okay? When this car first came out, do you know how much it actually cost? I actually have it right here, guys, okay? And here it is, okay? Starting MSRP price is about $35,000, all right? And I'm not including, for example, the delivery price, the government benefits, and all the other stuff. But if you go down here, you actually see that based on the four trim levels, you start at $35,000, but the long range is about $46,990, and the performance is actually about $54,990. I'm not even including, for example, a different paint job or anything like that. Now, it's been almost 5 years. Can you guess how much a car like this goes for that has, for example, 60,000 miles, one owner, and no accidents? By the way, that's a pretty good car with good specs, okay? And by the way, I think this version even has like the whole self-driving thing or whatever you want to call it, all right? So this car, again, I'm looking at a long-range version that MSRP price is about $46,000 or $47,000, just call it what it is. It actually goes for right now about $24,000. This is actually the car right here. It is in great condition, as you guys can actually see. Nothing is actually wrong with it. It's never had a single accident at all, okay? Dual motor, all the fancy stuff, all the trappings. It has some scratches. It's been used, obviously. But guess what? Here it is, okay? Here it actually is. Clean title, 0 accidents, 1 owner, $24,000. That basically tells me, hey, Tommy, remember, this is a car. This is a normal vehicle. And how do I know that? Because it goes down in value like any other car. And by the way, that's just this. I've seen Model X and Model S, cars that used to sell for like 120, 150,000 fully specced out, now going for like 60,000 or going for like 70,000. Imagine those people that pay so much money for that car thinking for some reason that it just wouldn't ever go down. And yes, there are chip shortages, there are certain markets and all this stuff. But again, whenever you're making a decision to buy a car, remember, just being able to afford the payments doesn't mean you can actually afford the car. Now, my second point, guys, is actually this. I was on YouTube and I was watching a video, okay, and here it is right here. I asked Cybertruck owners their monthly payments and income. Now, can I tell you guys something about Cybertruck owners that appear in this video? Not a single one of these people actually work construction, or maybe there was like one guy that actually worked with a window company, but none of these guys are actually buying these vehicles for its utility value. And every single one of these guys that is actually mentioned in this video, except one, actually had their car being financed and paying over $1,000 a month to actually drive this vehicle. And they all seemed pretty happy and everyone was basically smiling. Just like smiling, like paying $1,000 a month for a car and paying over $100,000 for a car that has no utility value to you just for fun is like a smart idea. It's very dumb. It's very stupid. And by the way, I don't really care what people do with their money, but I do care what you do with your money. And if you're watching this video, I just want to remind you guys, okay? These cars, they are cars, they're vehicles. They're supposed to be for utility value. You really have to consider when you're buying these things. These people that you see online, they're not keeping their cars for a long time. They're basically just trading in and buying more and getting into more debt. And they think, here's my third point, a lot of people in the tech industry or in high paying positions, they think their positions are going to last forever. They're always going to have a high income. And they always just say, well, this $1,000 payment is no big deal to me or whatever it is, but they're buying an asset that goes down in value. And guess what? Just because you have a high income and you're buying liabilities with a small portion of your income, if you have no assets, if you have no passive income, you are still just working and trading your time for money. It makes no difference. You're no smarter than anyone else, and you're no richer than anyone else because you just use your wealth to buy toys like a boy. All right, so that's one of my main issues. So if you are in a good position and you have good income, just use your income to build yourself up. And once you actually build yourself up big enough, you can buy whatever you want to buy. And by the way, only one guy bought that car in cash. And that one guy was like in his mid 60s, I think it was, okay? And he had like a green vert. I don't know what he was thinking, but the point is, the guy is probably old enough to have himself enjoy those things, okay? But you want to be very careful when you're buying these things. Now, here's my fourth point, because I don't want to seem like a Tesla hater or a people hater. I really am not, okay? Behind here, I think here, there you go, is actually my dream wall, or my, I don't know even what you call it, okay? But on that wall, I actually had for the longest time, I wanted to buy a Model X, okay? I love Tesla cars. I think they're so good. For me, absolutely, I cannot afford one. More on that later. Although I have the cash to buy one, I'll tell you why I can't afford one. And especially here where I live, it just doesn't make any sense. I live in the Dominican Republic in a very rural area. It's very hard to charge. Anything happens as far as, for example, a car accident or anything, I will not be able to fix that vehicle here, okay? So for me, it just doesn't really make any sense at all, at least at this very moment. But for the longest time, I wanted to buy one of these Model X, okay? And even the Model S, because they're very fancy. It's like a gimmick, okay? It's like buying the new iPhone. You just be like, oh, I need the new camera or whatever, but you're lying to yourself, all right? But the main point is, these cars go for like 120, 150 when I was looking at them. And now those same cars, they're going for $75,000, $70,000. And I'm like, I wonder what those people are saying, the people that bought those cars. And by the way, a lot of these cars are just one owner cars. So it's one person that paid that much money and now is trying to get rid of it. All right, that happens a lot. It's a big mistake. So if I buy a Tesla, Here's my advice to you guys. If I ever buy a Tesla, or if you want to buy a Tesla or any car, right? Just remember, it's a vehicle, and all vehicles share something in common. They all go down in value. So just wait a little longer. You know, instead of buying, for example, a $120,000 Tesla, I could buy, for example, a $70,000 Tesla because it went down in value. Instead of buying, for example, almost a $50,000 Model 3, I could buy now a $24,000 Model 3. And by the way, I cannot afford a Tesla. It is way too expensive. I can't wrap my mind around spending over $60,000 on a car when I could grab that same $60,000, put it in a rental property, and earn $250 per month perpetually for like the rest of my life. I'd rather that 10 times than buying a Tesla, right? So, and by the way, it's almost like a level of, you gotta understand these things, okay? It's hard to understand it, but the average millionaire, they're like in their 50s, and these people have been working hard for years, and they have a lot of money, like a lot of money. So buying one of these Teslas and paying cash for it, it really doesn't mean anything to them. But once you get to that point of having that much money and doing that much work, usually these toys don't even actually mean anything to you, and you don't really, they're not really of interest to you. But if you do want a Tesla, just buy a used one. If a car is not worth buying used, it's not worth buying new. That's my advice, okay? Remember, number 2, cars are utility based. If I live, for example, on a dirt road neighborhood, what am I gonna do with a Tesla? If I am not carrying things, what am I gonna do with a Cybertruck or a Ford F-150, okay? Doesn't make any sense. You just want it to ride around and to hunk at people. It doesn't make any sense, okay? Lastly, paying cash when you're actually buying a car is for utility. You pay cash, you don't worry about payments, and ride that car until the wheels fall off. People always use the same excuses, but this car is newer. It is safer. Most cars are safe, okay? Most cars are really safe. You can check the ratings. They're safe. You don't really have to worry about those things, okay? And that's basically it, guys. So yeah, maybe I'm being a hypocrite because I can't afford a Tesla. I could buy maybe in cash like a few Teslas, all right? But I wouldn't use my money to buy liability when I can use my money to buy assets to make me more money, to save me more time so I can work a lot less and enjoy more freedom with my family and doing the things that actually give me fulfillment. You know, every single Tesla owner, I challenge you to ask them in 5 years if they still have that same car smell. It wears off. The novelty wears off, okay? But thanks for watching, guys. Just remember that. And as always, subscribe to the channel and peace.